Welcome to the Deal Finder Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. And as you know, it's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals. We're on a mission to empower our property investor and Deal Finder members to find yet again 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. The purpose with your Deal Finder Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests who will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and making deals and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So we all know that Property Filter is the place to find shortlist properties, but what actually do you do? What actually do you do with it, and how can you unlock the value? So it really is my pleasure today to introduce my good friend Jason Patterson on today's Deal Finder Corner. And Jason has been in property since more than 20 years, having purchased his first buy-to-let in 2001. It feels a bit weird to say 2001, but yeah, 2001. And now owns a multi-million pound property portfolio. His properties are mainly located in North London and Dubai. He specializes in leasehold properties and has 20 plus years experience in lease extensions and purchasing freehold. So Jason really specialty is around buying flats with short lease, extending the lease, adding value with what I like to call the buy, don't refurb, refinance methodology. And you can join me in calling him, as he is dubbed, the short lease king. So what can you expect in today's episode? So Jason will take us through, what is it exactly that is a short lease flat, and there's a whole strategy around it, where to find these flats, how to find the lease extension costs, the two ways you can extend this lease, and then we'll briefly go through the figures of a couple of purchase he did recently. And then hopefully we'll have some time for some Q&A. So I'm very much looking forward to hear more about Jason's session today. So please join me in giving Jason a massive virtual Property Filter welcome. Over to you, mate.
So today I'll be talking about short lease flats. I'm just giving you a brief overview, obviously about short lease flats, how they work, the finance methods, etc., etc. So I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself before I go into it. Obviously, my name's Jason Patterson, aka the Short Lease King. I started out in Sainsbury's. I was there for about 11 years or so. While I was there, I managed to buy 5 properties, 4 buy-to-lets and 1 residential to live in. And then that overlaps with my teaching job. I was teaching maths, like A-level, GCSE and below. So I was there for about 15 years. It overlaps with my teaching job at the Sainsbury's. I could just continue to buy flats. My first flat that I bought in 2001. My first lease extension that I was in 2002. I started off with just vanilla buy-to-lets, then refurbs, reconfigurations, and now I do a lot of short leases. And my portfolio is mainly based in London and in Dubai. And at the moment, I've got about 17, 18 podcasts out there. So you can always check me out on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. We have some of the podcasts that you can look at. It's all there. Just check YouTube out. And obviously Amazon, like I said, it's all there. Do a bit of research on your short leases. Latest one was with Kazi and Ibrahim as well. So this was my first ever flat that I bought in 2001. I put in the offer in June 2001. I owned a top floor flat. Had a lease of about 82, 83 years. I bought it for 70,000, as you can see on the screen there. It's a conversion. Now this same flat, I extended the lease on. So my first ever lease extension was on the 9th of December 2002. And if you look down below, it says consideration point 1. I paid £1,000 for it. So I think the freeholder, felt a bit sorry for me, but I got a good deal on that one. I extended it to 125 in the end, and the ground rent was £50, and it increases by £25 every 25 years basically. But nowadays, always try to go for peppercorn ground rent when I'm doing it. Yeah, but that's for my first ever lease extension in 2002. It's for one of my first wage slips from the Sainsbury's back in the day, 40-hour weeks. So I was just stacking the cash, and I used that money to buy, obviously, flats. So with short leases, there's so many different permutations. One of them, you can buy a flat with a short lease and then sell it on once you've extended the lease, like a flip. Number two, you can buy a flat with a short lease. You can rent it out afterwards to social housing, maybe service accommodation if the freeholder allows it. Normal buy-to-let, choice is yours. Number three, you can purchase these via estate agents, auction houses, direct to vendor, the councils, housing associations. So many different ways you can purchase. Number four, you can purchase using a mortgage, bridging finance, cash, crowdfunding platforms as well. Number five, you can also reconfigure the flats and also refurb them as well if you want to. Choice is yours. Number six, you can also refinance, like I said, pull your money out and then go on to the next one, or you can just sell it. It's up to you, or you can just keep it and refinance later. And then you can also sometimes, number seven, buy the freehold to that block, and then you can either extend your own lease later, or just keep the freehold and then wait for people to extend the leases later on, and then you get some income from that. There's so many different permutations that you can choose, depending on what path you want to take. So the general concept is you buy a flat with a low lease, you extend the lease, then after that, it creates uplifting value. So it's a paper version of the BRR. Now, these three elements, the top three, are most important in order to get your profit in terms of your particular flat. So you must get the purchase price right. You must get the lease extension approximate cost. Yeah? And number three, you must, if you can, get the end value of the flat as accurate as possible. This is where software like Property Filter comes in, where they can give you averages, price per square foot or price per square meter, and local comps in the area. And the bonuses that you can do as well are refurbishment, and also you can do a reconfiguration, like from a studio to a one bed to a two bed, or two bed to a three bed. Now, if the flat has a lease of below 80 years, then this is classed to me as a short lease, because 80 years is a marriage value. So anything below 80 years, the flat starts to diminish in value, and the lower the lease, the more it's going to cost to extend. But in theory, the more money you can make in terms of profit. Now, the basic steps, for a lease extension, either yourself or your solicitor will contact the freeholder, asking them for a lease extension quote. Yeah, so there's two main routes. You can do it, or your legal team can do it. Then after that, you can negotiate with the freeholder if you wish. And then once you negotiate and agree a premium with the freeholder, then documents sent after land registry to be registered. All right, so three main steps. Now, part of your lease extension documentation are these main two documents. You've got the deed of substitute security. This is the agreement between yourself and the lender, letting them know that the lease has been changed, and the gravamen as well. And the second document is a counterpart deed or variation. This is the agreement between yourself and the freeholder, letting them know, well, obviously your agreement between the new lease and the lease extension, and the gravamen as well. Yeah. If you're buying the property cash, then the first document is not valid. Yeah? Not valid. It's only the second document. Then sometimes the first document, the lender has their own document in terms of the deed of substitute security. Yeah? But if not, your lender obviously will contact your solicitor, and they'll send it over to yourself. All right, so these are the main two documents. With this one here, this is internals of one of the documents. Luckily, if you look at section 1.6, it says the premium. I managed to get the premium for a nil fee for this particular lease extension, which was good. And if you look at term 1.10, it says a term of 999 years from the beginning of the 1st of January 1987. So sometimes you can extend the lease to 999, but in this case, they extended it to 999 from the start of the original lease, not from today. But it's still a long time anyway. It's almost 1,000 years in total. So yeah, so the three things you look for, you can extend the lease, you look at the ground rent, and then there's a premium. Yeah, those three factors that you can negotiate with the freeholder. Either yourself or your legal team will do that. This one completed recently, actually, and I put it on my Instagram yesterday. So it took a little while, but this one I had to expedite, and it's gone through now, as in registered with land registry. So The initial costs in relation to lease extensions. As it stands, you have to pay for your solicitors, you got to pay for the freehold solicitors, and you got to pay for the lease extension surveyor if they don't give you a desktop valuation. All right. Now, the King's Speech, which was in November 2023, it says that it may abolish you paying the freeholder solicitors, but it hasn't gone through yet. So as it stands, we still pay for all of these three. Yeah, so three major costs. So what I do is probably set aside maybe 3,500, 4,000 as a minimum to get this covered. Yeah? So you pay for your legals, their legals, and the lease extension surveyor if they don't give you a desktop valuation. Now, a desktop valuation is when the freeholder writes back to you and says, oh, we believe the freeholder and the lease extension should be 31K, 41K, without doing any surveying work at all. That's just a desktop valuation. I mean, it's up to you afterwards if you get your surveyor in to challenge that amount. But if you're happy with it, then you can just go ahead. The average cost of a lease extension, freeholder solicitors, again, it will vary from £500 up to 1,500, including VAT. Your solicitors might charge you anything between 500 to £1,000-ish with VAT. And the lease extension surveyor, again, that will vary, but on average, I'd put aside about £1,000-ish for a lease extension surveyor, which is different from a normal home buyer's valuation surveyor. They're two different individuals. Now, if you're extending the lease, there's two main routes that you can choose. There's the voluntary route, and then there's a Section 42 route. Now, the Section 42 route is the formal legal way of extending your lease, but you must have owned the flat for at least 2 years in order to extend your lease. And you can extend it by 90 years with peppercorn ground rent. Peppercorn ground rent means 0 ground rent, so no ground rent at all. Yeah? And the voluntary method is when yourself or your legal team just write to the freeholder at any time, and then obviously try and negotiate to extend the lease. And there's no exact lease extension length in terms of the voluntary route, yeah, which I'm going to go through in a minute. So Section 42, own it for at least 2 years, extended by 90 years with peppercorn ground rent. Now, this is an example of a voluntary one that I sent through to the freeholder and their legal team recently, we'll say recently, but about last year or so. So it says, thank you for your inquiry regarding the premium to extend your lease. Having discussed your inquiry with the freeholder, we can confirm that we're willing to negotiate with you. But before the freeholder is able to give you an indication of the premium required, we need to start to instruct evaluation. So basically, they said to me, right, we can go ahead and extend the lease, but we have to instruct a lease extension surveyor to go through. Now, this lease was 62 years on it, had 62 years on it. So their system was a tier system in terms of the surveyor. So I lie between here, which is 60 to 79.99 years. So I had to pay 1,150 plus VAT to them, so their surveyor can value the flat in terms of a lease extension premium. But before that, it says, if you wish to proceed with this matter, would you please let us have a check for the appropriate amount? It's £75 plus VAT, which is the admin fee. And then when submitting the check, please write blah, 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 blah. So basically, I said to them, can I just do a batch transfer into your account rather than send a check? They said, no, has to be a check. So I had to dig out my checkbook, write it out, and then put it in an envelope, post it, send it off, wait for them to cash it. Once they've cashed it, then I could do the batch transfer for the surveyor. So sometimes some of the freeholders are old school, and then you've got to give that methods. All these little things delay it by about 2 weeks or so. But yeah, this is the case. So not every freeholder will give you a tier system in terms of surveying, but this one obviously does. And this is via the voluntary route. Let me put this one through. Now, if you're doing the voluntary route for a lease extension, again, like I said, there's no time limit. You can apply at any time in terms of ownership. And you can also do this when you're purchasing the property. So if you can do a purchase and a simultaneous lease extension, then you can do that. And then when you get the keys to a new flat on day one, you have a new lease straight away. Or you can apply the voluntary method after you get the keys as well. So there's like different options. So when you're extending the lease using the voluntary method, you can extend the lease to 99 years, to 125 years, 90 years above what is at the moment the peppercorn ground rent, to 999 years, 999 years from the start of the original lease, as you saw earlier in the presentation, and it can extend it to 990. Yeah, so we're doing the voluntary method, all these different methods or different lengths of extending the leases, and there's more of a mix, which is just some of them. All right, so it's more flexible than the Section 42 route. And again, part of the King's speech, what he wants to do, or what Michael Gove wants to do, is extend all Section 40 notices to 990 as part of the Leasehold Reform Bill. So we'll see if it goes through or not. I'll speak a bit more about that a bit later. So if you can extend the lease, you can reconfigure it from 1 bed to 2 bed or 2 bed to a 3 bed, and you can refurb it. These ones are called a triple threat, and a triple threat brings in the most money. Yeah, it's the most money. Now, how can you finance these short lease deals? So one of the ways is using a buy-to-let mortgage, which I'm going to go through in a minute. You can use a hybrid product, which is number 2. Now, hybrid product is when the lender will pay for the lease extension, they'll pay for the property, and then you put down a 30 or 35% deposit on average. Yeah. So I mean, number 3, you can use bridging finance as well. So if you're using bridging finance, there's 2 main routes that the bridges like you to use. One where you're on a bridge, maybe for 12 months or so, and the lease extension must be completed before the end of the bridge. Yeah, that's route number 1, using a bridge. Route number 2, using a bridge, is when the bridge lender will say to you, you must serve a Section 40 notice in between exchange and completion. Yeah, that's 2 types of bridges. Number 4, you can pay cash. Number 5, you can use crowdfunding. You've got things like crowd property, max crowdfunding, like Mark Lloyd runs. Crowdfunding is done by private individuals where they put into a pot and then they lend you the money for like a year or so. Number 6, you can do joint ventures if you want to, where someone puts in the cash, then they use your experience, or you can go 50-50. And number 7, you can do lease option agreements as well. So these are all different ways you can purchase short lease flats. Here are some of the lenders and some of their minimum criteria that you can use. Again, this will vary from day to day, but when you see sometimes cash buyers only on the Rightmove or portal, and you're thinking, oh, I have to use cash, it's not always the case. Some of them you can purchase, like I said, and extend the lease simultaneously. Some of them you can get a mortgage on it, depending on the length of the lease, and then after that, extend the lease later. So there's mainly different permutations that you can use. But Beverly, here, it says a minimum term has to be 50 years at the end of the mortgage term, which is like a standard in terms of this industry, in terms of leases. Yeah, you got Birmingham's, Buckinghamshire, should I say, at 85. The Cambridge got 60 years minimum years left on the lease. Or you got Coventry, 70 years. You got Clyde, 30 years, and the minimum mortgage you can have is 5 years. Yeah, so in that 5 years, obviously you got to try and extend the lease, which you should do anyway. Capital Home Loan, 76 years. You got the family, let's have a minimum of 70 years. Foundation Home Loans, 50 years. So basically, again, with foundation home loans and a lot of the other ones, the lease cannot be lower than 50 years at the end of the mortgage term. All right. And they'll give you, again, a minimum of a 5-year mortgage. Harpenden, give you a minimum 40 years on the lease. ICICI, 75 years, etc., etc. Lendco, 65 years. Mansfield, 55 years, and so on. There's so many different lenders that will lend on the short leases, with loads of them. And again, it changes daily depending on the market. You got loads of them on here again. Metro, go down to 50 years, etc., etc. Newbury, 55 years. The list goes on and on and on and on, like Ariston. Yeah, this one, Quantum, they go down to 37 years, and they, at the minimum, is a 2-year mortgage. Yep, 2-year mortgage. So again, obviously in that time, you're gonna extend the lease and then refinance after that. So again, just go through your broker, and then they should just help you out in terms of getting a mortgage on your short lease flat. This goes on and on, on and on, loads of them. Yeah. So this one here, when you're doing short leases, a lot of the time, you might get a mortgage offer come through. On average, it might be 3 months or 3 to 6 months, depending on what you're doing. This one was a refinance, so I extended the lease, then I refinanced it. The mortgage offer I got just before Christmas. I completed on this one last week, actually. So the offer was valid until the 20th of March, 2024. but that's gone now. Completed last week. So this one refinanced after I extended the lease at 75% loan to value, just under $500,000 with this one. And then the fees, they added to the loan. So I've got a 75% loan to value mortgage, and then their fees added onto the loan. That's why loan to value 78.75%. Got 5.19, so it's not too bad. 5-year fixed, £2,000 a month. So you're thinking, oh, your 5-year fix, what about pulling out your money afterwards? So I pulled out some money as well when I was refinancing, but I can also pull out money along the way as well if it goes up in capital appreciation terms. So got early repayment charges here as well, obviously quite high. So I don't think I'll be exiting this one for now. But if you're getting a mortgage on with a short lease flat or with a flat in general, even with a house, it's up to you. If you look for the section called additional secured borrowing, it says you can apply for additional secured borrowing 6 months after completion of your mortgage. Yeah. So if you're buying a short lease flat and you want to refinance or pull your money out with a lender, a mortgage lender, then part of your mortgage deal, make sure this is part of the stipulation. Normally it's under section 7 or section 9, depending on what mortgage offer you're going to be getting. It's called additional borrowing, always called a further advance. And then you can pull your funds out after you extend the lease, after 6 months, and then refinance. Yeah, I mean, just go again. All right. So even though you fixed in for 5 years, you can still extract the money, put some top it up a little bit, and then move on to the next one. And then move on to the next one. I mean, just grow your portfolio bit by bit by bit. Yeah, with this one, I got 3 legals, and I got revaluation as well, which should be thrown in, because if you're paying like a 3% fee, then that should be thrown in as part of the deal, I reckon. Now, some of these short lease flats, where do you find these short lease flats? So before I knew about Property Filter, they were part of my presentation anyway. So a lot of the time you can find these short lease flats through places like Nimbus Maps, obviously Property Filter, Property Data helps you as well, on themarket.com. With Nimbus Maps, for example, one of your obviously competitors, I done a presentation with Paul Davies like last year, and then just by chance, I done my presentation on short leases in Milton Keynes, and then he done his one, but like just by chance, his one was on short leases as well. And then you pull up all the short leases in the entire country just on there. So I'm sure Property Filter can do the same. Got a nice facility on there as well. We can pull up all the short leases local to your area, and then you can analyze the data using Property Filter. You can also, number 2, find these short leases via local estate agents. Some of the agents I've been buying from for like 17, 18 years. Then you always WhatsApp me about 4 weeks before, 3 weeks before, to get a new instruction and say, yeah, Jay, we've got this new short lease flat coming on. If you want it, it's yours. So when it comes on 3 weeks later, I go around there and view it. If I like it, then it's mine. Number 3, got property associates. A lot of people know that I do short leases. They just send me stuff now and again. Number 4, blocks of flats with like neighbors. So basically, if I like Larman's Road, I got 2 upstairs, and then I know I bought one on the middle floor. So again, because I've got flats in that block, I know exactly how much it costs to extend the lease. Number 5, previous owners. So Garton's Close, I bought like last year, and then the previous owner I still keep in contact with, and her old neighbor was selling, which is the same lease length on it. So she contacted the old owner, who contacted me and said, oh, Jason, my neighbor's selling, would you be interested in buying the flat? So I said, yep, went around there. So again, got a few in that same block. Number 6, you got social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I'm on that. So people send me stuff all the time as well. Number 7, sometimes I put in pre-auction offers and post-auction offers. Like during lockdown, for example, when Boris said you must stay at home, I put in a pre-auction offer on a flat in North London, Savills. I got rejected. Then they done the auction, the flat did not sell, and I put in a post-auction offer afterwards, after Savills guy contacted me and said, oh, the flat didn't sell, would it be interested in putting in another offer? So I did, and then it got accepted, and I paid less than my pre-auction offer. But sometimes good to look for deals post-auction and also sometimes pre-auction. And if you want to, you can also go to auction. Number 8, you can leaflet drop, because obviously a lot of the time, like Fairview Homes, for example, they would in blocks of 8, and there might be 6 blocks of 8, just flyer them. I mean, that way you can get direct to vendor bills straight away. Number 9, I got some contracts with the council and housing associations. And what's happened is some landlords are selling due to the higher interest rates, and the council want to retain their tenants. So they contacted people like me and said, "Oh, do you want to? One of our landlords are selling. Would you be interested in buying some of the flats from us directly by the landlord?" So again, there's no estate agent, just direct to vendor via the local councils and housing associations. Now, another popular question is, where do you find out about the lease extension premium? So number one, sometimes it's good to use a local solicitor. Like for example, recently I was buying a flat, and then I contacted my one and said, "Oh, Jan, I'm going to contact you next week in terms of a lease extension for Glendine Court." And then she said, "Oh, Glendine Court." So she checked for her files and said, "Oh yeah, we did one of them last year." So one of her files from last year was a lease extension on Glendine Court. So straight away, I knew the price, what it should be in terms of a lease extension, because my solicitor is local to the area. Number two, a lease extension surveyor. This is the most accurate way of finding the lease extension cost. Yeah, they got all the calculators on the computer. That's their job. They know how to tell, obviously, the exact value of a lease extension. Number three, if you've got flats in the same block, then obviously, if you've done lease extensions there already, you can get an idea. Number four, you can contact the top freeholder directly if you want to as well, by land registry. So basically, sometimes if you go to auction and it's, or even buy on the open market, and the freeholder's details sometimes are not given, or the section 42 is not given as well, then you contact the freeholder directly. So I'm helping some people now with this method here. You can either find out their details via the auction pack, or via the office title copies on land registry, and then search them up on Companies House or social media, and email them directly and ask if they're willing to give it an indication of a lease extension, if possible, cost. Number five, you can knock on other doors of flats in the same block. A lot of the time, if it's a block of 8 or a block of 6, then you know straight away that at least 1 or 2 of the other flats in the block probably haven't extended the leases, or maybe they have. I mean, if it's tenanted, just leave a note with the tenant asking the landlord to contact you, because they might have extended the lease already. Number 6, online calculators. Depending on which one you use, and if the lease is above 50 years, then it's fairly accurate. I say about 4 or 5% swing either way in terms of a lease extension calculators. Just type into Google lease extension calculators, and it should come up. Top 3 or 4 are the best ones. Number 7, you can obtain the details direct from the current vendor as well. So I was on a viewing last time with the vendor and the estate agent, and then so I asked the vendor, "Oh, do you have any idea of how much it costs to extend the lease?" And he said, "Oh, wait a minute." Went to the top drawer of the kitchen, pulled out a document and said, "Yes, this is the document. I wrote to the freeholder, asked him to extend the lease." And they said, "Oh, it's too much for me. It's 18,000. Like, it's too much for me." So at the viewing, I knew exactly how much it cost to extend the lease just by asking that question, because the vendor had the details in the drawer, top drawer. This particular one here, I bought the freehold to. So basically, I've done the voluntary method. I wrote to the freeholder, asking him for a lease extension quote for, as well as will he be able to sell me the freehold. When they came back with this, it said, Lease 76B, Mr. Patterson wished to purchase an extension to his lease, which is 72 years. And the calculation for a lease extension is in the region of 10 to 11,000 plus costs for each flat. Are willing to dispose of the freehold for 17,000 plus costs to either one of you or both of you. I've attached the valuation I have taken at the beginning of the year for current insurance purposes. So luckily, I didn't have to pay $1,000 for the surveyor, because they'd done it already earlier in the year. And Mr. Patterson has indicated that he's willing to buy the freehold either jointly or on his own, should you not wish to participate. I'll be grateful if you can contact Mr. Patterson to discuss. Should I not hear from you within the next 14 days, I'll just obviously issue the appropriate notice and sell to him. So basically, when you're looking to buy the freehold, it's called a Section 10 or 10.2. The other leaseholders must be informed that the freehold may change hands. Yeah. So in this case, myself and the flat upstairs bought the freehold from the freeholder for 17,000 plus costs. Yeah, we shared the costs, and then we extended our own leases for a nil fee afterwards. So you can always buy the freehold sometimes to obviously the properties. Now, this one here was an auction. Let me just move this out of the way. Just before Christmas. It was on for 120,000 and Barnet EN5, top of North London, 2-bed flat, 51-year lease. It sold in the end for 180 on the 6th of December 2023. Again, if you look here, it says a Section 40 notice to extend the lease will be served prior to completion, and the rights will be assigned over to yourself. So if you want to extract the cash as soon as possible, make sure a Section 40 notice is part of a legal pack. I mean, you can obviously extend the lease after that, 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, get your money out. With this one, needs a bit of work doing to it. I said 51 years left on it from 1976. Section 42 has been served. EPC rating of a D. So that can be obviously increased when you do the refurb. Can't reconfigure it, but just a refurb and extend the lease. With this one, the end value is a flat in the same block that sold less than 6 months earlier for 325,000. So that's a nice comparable. Again, that was a 2-bed. The Section 42 is part of a legal pack as well. You can see here it's for 30,000, but because I know the area, I don't reckon the freeholder would agree to 30,000. I was thinking more 50,000-ish. So the vendor has put an offer in the legal pack, gone to auction, yeah. But this 30,000 doesn't mean that's what you're going to pay in terms of a lease extension. This is just a starting point, and then yourself and or your legal team will negotiate with the freeholder in terms of lease extension premium. So, yeah, so don't take that as gospel, but that's a starting point. This one was a probate because the person passed away, and then I think it was his daughter is obviously put it to auction. So this is all part of the legal pack, the Section 42 notice. This is an example of one, so you know what it looks like. Yeah, it's gone through 90 years of peppercorn ground rent, as you can see. Yeah, so Section 40 notice as an example. Special conditions, or you look at for special conditions as well. With this one, if you look at additional amounts payable at completion, this particular buyer wanted you to pay £600 in relation to the searches and £450 plus VAT for the seller's solicitor's costs. So in theory, you might pay an extra 1,100, 1,200 maybe on top of what you paid for it as well. So watch out for the extra costs in terms of the legals. Yeah, that's all part of the special conditions as well. Now, just a quick analysis of this one. I said initially, if you can get it for under 200K, then it can work. Actually sold for 180. Lease extension, anything between 30 and 60K. I'm predicting about 50K-ish for this one. 30K-ish for the refurb. 5K for legals. Stamp, 6,000-ish. End value with a good lease, good condition is about 325-ish. So all in, anything between 250 and 280, depending on the lease extension cost. Yeah, 30 grand swingish. I think it might be more towards 50. So your pre-tax profits, anything between 45K up to 75K, depending on the length of the lease extension costs. Yeah. So not a bad profit for a 2-bed flat. Prime Central London, if you want to go heavy, you can. This one here was from October 2022. Guide price of 565. Prime Central London, SW1. A nice flat. This one didn't need any refurbing, couldn't reconfigure it, just short lease only, and that was it. Nice period property, got nice concierge, got a porter. The lease is about 63, 64 years-ish. Yeah. Ground rent £300 a year, and the service charge is £3,000 a year for this particular flat. Again, 63, 64 years left on the lease. Prime location there, Mayfair, Piccadilly, Regent Street, Green Park. Yeah, near the Bentley showroom, not too far. Got Savile Road down there, you can buy your suits. And you've got Chinatown, prime location, central London. So upstairs sold for 1.15 million, less than, again, 6 months before, 2021 that was. Now the lease extension would have been roughly about 150-ish, 150-ish plus costs, yeah, but it means 150K. If you purchased it for about 550 at the time, stamp duty would have been about 31,500 at the time. Yeah, if you agreed an offer for 550 for this one. So just to recap, just say you're buying cash, just to make it easy. Yeah, buy it cash for 550. Stamp is about 31,000-ish. Legal is about 2,000. Lease extension about 150-ish. All in, you're looking at about 733-ish. End value at the time it was a depressed market because I think Liz Truss and Kamikaze just came in. Interest rates just going through the roof. So it's a minimum of about 950 up to a million. So you're looking at a profit before tax and selling fees if you're going to sell it of about 200k, maybe 250 if you can get it for a million. Because the one upstairs off 1.15. So yeah, prime central London's big money in, but it's big money out. Yeah, you can also use bridging on these kind of deals as well. But obviously, if you use bridging, it's going to eat into your finances. About 200 grand profit before tax will come down to maybe 150-ish, depending on the interest payments on your bridging loan. So let me move this out of the way, actually. So Leasehold Reform Act. Quickly go through these before answering any questions. I'm going to talk briefly about this in relation to short leases only, yeah, or mainly. Oh yeah, back in 2022, by the way, any new lease extension must come with peppercorn ground rent, yeah, peppercorn ground rent. So that was on the 30th of June, 2022, that came in. So just for argument's sake, say you have a lease which is like 60 years and you're paying £100 a year for the ground rent. If you extend it, yeah, by 90 years, for example, then that 90 years that you pay, that you get extra, will be ground rent free. But the original 60 years, you still got to pay the £100 until that ticks down. And then the ground rent kicks in after that. What I try and do with my ones, I get peppercorn ground rent from day one, not from when the old lease expires. Yeah. So think about that when you're negotiating. Yeah. And then there you go. Feedback. Yeah, put on mute. So yeah. So this one here, the King's Speech was in November 2023. So what one of the proposals was for all new lease extensions to be extended to 990 instead of 90 years with peppercorn ground rent. So that's what Michael Gove has put through or trying to put through. Yeah, so 990 instead of 90 years, peppercorn ground rent. It wants to make it cheaper to extend the leases on flats and on houses. You're going to do that by getting rid of the marriage value. And the marriage value, it basically accounts for 50% of the premium. So just for argument's sake, say you're paying 30 grand to extend the lease, 15 grand of that is like a marriage value, which the freeholder kind of gets, yeah? So he wants to abolish the marriage value. So in theory, instead of you paying 30,000 now to extend the lease, it'll be £15,000 to extend the lease. But there's a lot of backlash from that, because that can eat into some of the freeholder profits, including maybe the Crown, because the Crown have a lot of freehold and leasehold property. So obviously like the Grosvenor Estate and the Duke of Westminster, they've got a lot of property, so they're fighting that at the moment. Or they might have one set of rules for them and one set of rules for us, like who knows. And also another bigger development is you don't have to wait 2 years to extend the lease. Yeah, you might only have to wait 0 years to extend the lease. Yeah, so you might abolish the 2-year rule in terms of lease extensions. All right, so the key things: 990, don't need to wait 2 years to extend the lease, and it will be 50% cheaper to extend your lease going forward. Over the 3 main things that you need to look out for in terms of lease extensions, leasehold reform. That's up to them if they want to push it through before the election or after the election. We see the Conservatives, because if they think, yeah, it's going to get us voters, they're going to push it through before the election. If they think that this might not give us any votes or voters, they're going to might push it after the election. But the thing is, the Conservatives might not even win the election. Labour might get in. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. They're still debating the rentals reform bill at the moment anyway as well. These are some of the other ones as well. Part of the Leasehold Reform Act. Oh yeah, the main reason why they're doing it is because a lot of the builders, like Taylor Wimpey and Bellaway, were building houses with leases. Yep, leasehold houses. And then what will happen is these houses have ground rent, and then the ground rents were rising and doubling every so often. Some people are paying ground rent for about £1,000 for the year or £2,000 for the year. Now, mortgage lenders do not like it when ground rents are above £250 per year. Now, a lot of them individuals have become mortgage prisoners because they can't change over mortgage companies because their ground rents have been like spiraled out of control. So some of them can't even get new deals. So they're paying 8, 9, 10% on their actual houses that they've bought to live in, and they're mortgage prisoners. Some of them being repossessed. It's a big mess. So that's why Michael Gove has come in and said, look, we've got to stop leasehold houses, or at least help those that are stuck in as mortgage prisoners going forward. But then at the same time, we want to try and help some flat owners with leasehold flats, basically. All right, so that's the end the presentation, quick presentation. These are my contact details. If you want to contact me, also do some courses, one-to-one mentoring, all that kind of stuff. So any assistance, I'm the man. Hand over back
Jason,
to, yeah, how you doing?
yeah, Jason, thanks so much. Thank you so much. That was so cool and useful. So there's a few
You're welcome.
questions on the chat. Some of them came to me privately as well. Can you explain a bit more, like the the marriage value? So below 80 years, you need to share the uplift, with the freeholder. How does
Yeah.
that work?
All right, this here, if you look where it says 50% of the marriage value, to the freeholder is like 16,000 something. So with this premium, the end value of this flat is about 270-ish, two-bedroom flat. Once you extend the lease in good condition, the total premium for the lease extension for this one would be about 31k or 32k-ish. Now, 50% of that is made up of the marriage value. So that goes towards a freeholder. So half of the premium, about 31k, is the freeholders basically. That's like it's the old English law. And Michael Gove wants to get rid of that completely, and then now the premium will be half the value. Yeah, half the value. So this is some of the calculations what your lease extension surveyor will go through in terms of a lease extension. Yeah, but the marriage value basically 50% of the premium, which goes to the freeholder, and then the rest of it goes to somewhere else. All right. But they want to abolish the 50%, and then your premium will be a lot cheaper in terms of going forward, in terms of lease
Yeah.
extension. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically there's the lease extension cost, but
Yeah.
then when you fall below 80 years, the added value you add to the property by increasing the lease, you have to share this uplift with the freeholder by 50%. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I think people get confused with short lease and stuff. And why is it that, for example, on Property Filter, there's a template for short lease, which is triggered by anything with a lease below 80 years. And why 80 years? Why not 50 years? Why? And it's because of the same as you. We define it as below 80 years. This is when the marriage value kicks in. So this is where it starts to be a lot more painful for the leaseholder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly. So that
So I
one
got
was brought in a long time ago. I don't know. Yeah, just brought in a long time ago. And when there were landlords in London, or in England, should I say, in England.
yeah. I can't believe so you got a lease extension for like a nil. It costs nothing. You had one example where it cost you nothing to extend the lease. So you had someone selling their house because they had their flat because they had a short lease, thinking, and the agent would have been cash buyer only because it's a short lease kind of thing. And then you went in, bought it, and extended for nothing. It's the first time I heard that.
Exactly.
I thought that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to know, once you know your stuff and how to work around it, then you can obviously do some things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
experience. Yeah.
And I really love what you said about, and then we've seen people do this with property filters. So you find the ones that are, on the market, and you find the ones that are you find on property filter because they have a short lease. But then most of those flats would have been bought in the first, in the first place at the same time. So all the leases are coming to an end pretty much in the same time. So once
Exactly.
you bought one and sold it about one vendor, and you use it as a case study, you can go to every one of them in the block, and then yeah, that sort of works really
Exactly.
well. So. Let me go
Exactly.
through the chat and some of the questions. So Rose was asking me, hope you're well. A question for Jason. What is the average time it takes for you, Jason, to extend for your lease extension to be finalized? If you want to do essay in the flat, can
With
can
SA1,
you
you have to ask freeholders permission in order to do
yeah,
it. Yeah. So that one you can't just do unless you're the freeholder. You can't do essay on it, but check the terms of the lease because some leases, on average, a lot of the leases say you're allowed to have ASTs, like 12-month ASTs, as part of your original lease. But a lot of the leases state that you cannot have short-term lets as part of your. Yep. So basically, you have to contact the freeholder and ask them if you're allowed to do short-term lets, as in Airbnb, Booking.com, through your property, if that's what you want to do. Yeah. And for the
yeah,
first one, what was the first question again? Sorry.
yeah. I think that was
Oh,
all. How long does it take to
oh,
to
yeah.
finalize your lease extension?
Yeah, so basically, once you agree a premium, the longest part is agreeing a premium with the freeholder sometimes. The negotiation, the longest I've had is about 9 months in total. The shortest I've had is about 3 months. This one here took me about 3 months to complete. So basically, I wrote to the freeholder. The delay was the check as well, that two weeks or so. Then they came back with an offer. I came back with another offer. I rejected the original one. So within that took 4 weeks to agree a premium after this original letter. Then the documentation sent off to my solicitor. Then those two documents there, which are the deed of variation, yeah, and the substitute security, these ones sorted out by my legal team. That took six weeks years to complete. Yeah, and then that's sent off to land registry to be registered. So 4 weeks for the negotiation, 6 weeks for these documents to be signed and dated by the mortgage company, myself, the freeholder, and they have to be signed and dated by someone over the age of 18 and a known family member. And then after that 6 week period, off to land registry to be registered. Now, at land registry, there's some delays in terms of registering like legal documents. So on my Instagram at the moment, you can see it anyway. I put in a lease extension to be registered. And then because I'm doing a product switch, I had to expedite in order to speed up the process. And then on the website, it says within 10 working days or so, via land registry, your document will be registered. So, but this one took 13 working days or 19 days in total, including weekends. So you can expedite and get it speeded up by land registry if it needs to be done. So the answer to your question, 3 months roughly for shortest, and 9 months is the longest.
Awesome, man. I hope you took good notes, 4 weeks of negotiation, 6 weeks to get these two documents sorted, and then 19 working days to get it all signed and to get it all registered on land registry once expedited.
Yeah.
So Don is asking, is the value created in buying a short lease and then doing a paperwork exercise to extend the lease? Do you combine this with refurbishing, refinancing to add value to the deal? I think that's exactly the topic of today. And you talk about the triple, what was it? The triple threat strategy where you combine lease extension.
Triple threat, yeah. This is the one. Yeah, you just buy it, extend the lease. If you can reconfigure it, again, you need the freeholder's permission to reconfigure it. And then obviously you can add another bedroom. Minimum sizes are on like another presentation. And then you can refurb it as well. And then they bring in the most money uplift in terms of a triple threat.
Yeah, you've
Or
got
just
three ways of adding value in it. So you got the three ways of adding value. The lease extension is, so people talk about buy, refurb, refinance, but really it should be called buy, add value, refinance. And then there's, refurb is just one of the way you can add value. And with flats, you can reconfigure it from 1 to 2 bed, 2 to 3 beds, as well as extending the lease. So with a paperwork exercise like Jason has described today, basically you buy, you don't refurb, and you refinance because you've added value with the lease extension. Awesome. Kevin is asking, and there's quite a bit of chatter on it. Is the process to ensure the freeholder is prepared to extend the lease and you negotiate the cost and extension before you buy the property, or do you want to buy the property and then extend the lease?
Yeah, so you got two options. Well, more than that, actually. You can negotiate if you're buying it simultaneously, as in purchasing the property and extending the lease at the same time, then negotiations are carrying on simultaneously with a freeholder. Or you can buy the flat, yeah. Again, the Section 42 method, and then the keys, obviously, it's signed onto yourself when you get the keys, and then negotiations continue after you get the keys. Yeah, so there's different permutations. You can negotiate during the process of purchasing, or if you go down the Section 42 route, for example, you can negotiate after you get the keys and continue that process. Yeah. Now, if you can't agree a premium with a freeholder within 6 months, going down the legal route, the formal route, Section 42 route, then after the 6 month period, you'll have to go to the tribunal, and the tribunal will decide what the lease extension cost premium will be. Yeah.
And
So that's
these tribunal, Jason, I wanted to ask you, are they more like leaseholder friendly or freeholder friendly? Are they more biased in one way or another?
not really. I'll tell you why, because they would look at the surveyor's reports and they'll judge it based on the surveyor's reports. So long as you've got a reputable surveyor there, then they'll just go by a back report. So it's not really a bias between the two.
All right.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, because I'm from France, so there's like employment tribunals, and it's it's
Okay.
always it's more biased ones. Always there's always
Yeah.
bias on
Okay.
one side or
Yeah.
another.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they'll look at the documentation, the paperwork. So we look at the freeholders' legals, as in like surveyor's report. They look at my surveyor's report, and then they'll come to a medium in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah. I know. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. So these negotiations, they have a number, you have a number, and then you meet in the middle, innit?
Exactly.
Something like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. The ones that take ages though, are the ones in central London, because them ones are big numbers, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
600,000, 500,000. Them ones go to tribunal all the time. But these
That's
little
right.
small ones, like 10, 15, 20 grand, 30 grand, you just
Don't be
sort it
bothered.
between yourselves generally. Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. I think Shania went through, yeah, it's explained a similar thing. Mark is asking, hey Jason, with the strategy of creating value through short lease extension, what properties would you target in priority? So, do you want to go after big, basically big value, higher value properties above, below 500K, flat houses? What works?
Well, both work depending on your budget, because a lot of people may not have the income or the bridging facilities to buy a larger one. You can make it on average. I suppose you can make a bit more money off the high end ones, but you need bit more money to go in rather than the smaller ones. So there's no right or wrong answer. Always look for around a minimum of a 20 to 25% uplift after you
Yeah,
do lease
that's
tension.
right.
Yeah,
So you can
regardless
get
if
all your
it's
money out. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Almost all of it, yeah, yeah. If it's a triple threat, you probably can take all of it out. If it's just a
yeah,
lease extension, probably look to be realistic, about 70%, 75% of your money out on average. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome.
Hmm.
That's really useful. Constance is asking, how do you get lease extended with an absent seller who lives abroad? She's been having difficulties with the seller's POA, signed the power of attorney signed abroad. Solicitors don't accept him their power of attorney.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's relating to the lease extension itself or with the purchase,
Yeah.
but you probably have
Is it-
issues with the purchase as well if they can't sign anything.
Yeah. As absent freeholder, she said, was it?
Absent seller that
Absent
lives
seller.
abroad.
Absent seller.
I guess so. I think maybe the question is about do you need the seller consent to start the lease extension process, maybe
Oh,
before you buy?
no, you can contact the freeholder directly. So if the
Yeah,
absent vendor, if they're not there, then and you're still purchasing it, if it's a power of attorney, like with the probate one there, you can go to the freeholder directly and speak to them directly rather than speaking to the vendor. So
yeah,
yeah, just write to them via your legal team, or you can write to them and then see if you can get an idea of the lease extension cost and if they're willing to extend the lease without you owning the flat for 2 years, or you go down the voluntary route. Yeah, so you could contact the freeholder directly for that one rather
interesting.
than
And is the owner being notified if you start conversing with the freeholder about their property?
not that I know of, not that I know of.
That's
No,
interesting. Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
that's
good, so
quite cool.
yeah,
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot for that. Jake is asking, are flats with absent freeholder a no-go, or would you consider them as deal? So I think
yeah.
it's
It
similar
can
question,
be
but
it
with
can be a good deal, but they're a slow burner because it will
mm,
take probably about a year and a half for you to prove like the freeholder absent. Again, on one of my other slides, basically there's a company that sort this out all out for you. And I know one other person that does this. They buy absent freeholder flats and buildings, but it's a slow burn. It takes about a year and a half, whereby you have to prove that the freeholder is absent. So you hire this firm. They go to the last known address of the um, owner or freeholder. They put 2 or 3 ads in the local papers again, for a minimum of 3 to 6 months. Um, they check the probate records as well, make sure the owner freeholder hasn't passed away. And then after about a 9 month, 10 month period, is something like that, once they have all of that information there via the agent, which is the law firm, and they hire a PI as well. Once you have all the information there, then you can go to the tribunal. And then the tribunal, it's called a vesting order, yeah? You get a vesting order, go to the tribunal, and then the tribunal will look at all the evidence. Once you've done all of the things that needed to be done, then they'll say, right, Mr. Patterson, we're gonna offer you the freehold to this block, or we'll offer you the lease extension on this flat based on the surveyor's report, and then they'll keep the funds as part of the tribunal, yeah, just in case a freeholder or his executor or his executor turns up, and then they'll give them the funds minus the court costs. Yeah, so you can do it, but it's a slow burn. It takes about a year and a half to go through. But those ones, because it takes so long to go through, you can make the most money on them ones, more money on them ones. But it's just a long process.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Refillway is asking, do you recommend avoiding, so I'm not sure about the terminology you use here, but do you recommend avoiding repossessions where Section 42 isn't available and the freeholder can't be approached before the sale is completed? Is that too risky? So I'm not sure what you mean by repossession. Is it
Yeah, no, no, sometimes you see when you go to even by estate agents and auction as well, the repossession like Halifax, Barclays, they might repossess the flat.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And then the banks do not serve a Section 40 notice. That's just their policy. They don't serve Section 40 notice. So you're thinking, I've got a short lease, nice flat, I want to buy it. So you have to go direct to the freeholder. Yeah. So you check the legal pack or download the official copies, titles from land registry. It's got the name or the company name of the freeholder on there. Look them up on social media or company's house, get their email address or telephone number, then you contact them directly and ask them, basically, I want to buy this particular flat. Am I able to extend the lease after completion? And if so, will you be able to give me an agreement in principle? And they might even give you a premium amount as well. Yeah, so go directly to the freeholder and then get an agreement in principle and maybe even a value, premium, lease extension premium value. And then when you get the keys, if you have that in place, then obviously, hopefully they honor it and then you can extend the lease afterwards. But yeah, repossessions, they don't like to serve Section 42.
Interesting. Yeah, awesome. D is asking, how do you do the lease extension in the same time as buying it? Do you need to get the current owner to start the process? Is this some kind of an assisted sale kind of basis? I think we have covered this already. You can basically contact the freeholder directly and start the process. Is that probably?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Fola is asking, with the same principle, would the same principle apply with concealed properties that need lease extensions?
What property, sorry?
Concealed properties. So I'm guessing where the council is the freeholder, you have a similar kind of setup.
Oh, council. Yeah, same. Yeah, council.
Council. Sorry. French.
yeah. Same process. A lot of the time, the council, they're not as flexible in terms of negotiations because they got different departments. They got a system to follow, and they're not that flexible in terms of the negotiations because they're like a big organization, and they take a bit longer because they're a bit clunky. So it's the same system as if you're buying it from a freeholder like myself, me or you, or from a council. Yeah, but the council has got more of a structure, more of a system, and they're unlikely to negotiate much with you. But in general, the council won't try and fleece you anyway, because some of the other freeholders will try and inflate the value, but the council won't fleece you anyway. But it's the same system as normal. Yeah.
Awesome. Anthony is asking to confirm, so the 50% marriage value, does this only apply with lease extension when they are below 80 years?
Correct, yeah, correct. If it's above 80 years, does not apply.
Awesome. Marilyn is saying that yes, there are still landlords in England. Yeah. Graham is asking, isn't the asking price usually just the end value minus the cost of increasing the lease, or how common is there room for profit? Yeah, I mean,
that's what I found recently actually. Some of the flats that I've been seeing, exactly what the person said, it might be on for 200,000 and lease extension costs 50,000. Yeah, so in total the flat with good lease would be about 250. All I've done is minus a lease extension cost and they put it up for 200,000. That is not good. You need to have it at least maybe, I'll say about 65% below market value in order for you to make your profit. Yeah, so only ones that are going to buy them are the owner occupiers. People like me will not buy them. And estate agents and maybe even some of the vendors, that's what I've been seeing lately. So the figures aren't realistic. So they're just sitting on the market. So with them ones, like I just put an offer on the table and then just left it and say, look, instead of it being, obviously it's on for 200, but it's not worth 200. I put it on for 160. If I'm 160, I'm leaving it on the table. And if it doesn't sell within the next month or 2 or 3, come back to me and then hopefully they accept my offer.
The deals are in the follow-up. Yeah, indeed. So
Mhm.
it's no difference to refurb, like there'll be property, in a poor state on the market, and they're like, oh, well, it would cost 60K to refurbish it. So therefore, it's 60K below whatever it's worth, It's no
Exactly.
different. It's the same principle. So, and then ignore the asking price. I always say this on our weekly calls I have with the property filter community. Like, just ignore the asking price. It's, what is it worth to you, And it's certainly not worth the asking price if this is the approach they've taken.
Exactly.
So someone's asking, do the online calculators just give you the marriage value or the combined total of the marriage value and the lease extension? In the case of your example with the 31K, I believe it's combined. And I think someone commented as well.
Yeah.
Nick is asking, I've found owners have been very stubborn on price, not reducing not reducing enough to make it work.
Exactly.
I mean, they're sitting on a time bomb. You're not, every year they wait on not selling the property, it becomes exponentially more expensive to increase the lease. So,
Exactly.
I mean, they're gonna get more and more motivated, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. And
Well,
interest rates as well. Every month, the interest rates, they're still paying their mortgage on it, so they're losing out a bit month by
Yeah,
month as well.
can I just come in here and comment on that?
yeah, get it.
Yeah, yeah,
So what I found is somebody else is prepared to pay a higher price, basically.
Yeah,
And
until they aren't, there's no difference to
mm,
sorry,
yeah,
what's that?
yeah. I mean, it's the game. It's the game, innit? Like, and then it falls through, and then you pick it up because you follow up. It's the game, innit?
exactly. Yeah. So them ones might be more towards owner occupier that will buy them ones, or someone that doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, they'll just buy it, and afterwards they'll be like, "Oh no, I've overpaid." So yeah, that's the case that I'm finding.
What happens if they buy them in an auction, Jason?
What, and it's overpriced?
Yeah. So I've just
Yeah,
had one recently up near me in Birmingham, and it failed to sell at 2 auctions. It sold earlier this week, and it was on for 60. They actually went for 70, but it was only worth 165. The lease extension would have been 45, and the renovation, I had a quote from a builder of 40. So where's the margin?
so they're
Yeah,
negative basically.
it's their problem now, Nick, and it'll come back in auction in a couple of years. Like
Yeah,
with a lot of these half-built projects we see coming back now. It's like it's a numbers game, I guess.
yeah. That those individuals haven't done their sums, or sometimes you get it where a Section 40 notice has been served and it's part of a legal pack that I said for 30,000 for this one, for example, right? 30,000, and then they've taken that as gospel. Whereas this one here, taking it as gospel, thinking that's going to be the lease extension cost. When the freeholder comes back and it's 50,000 or 60,000, then the figures are thrown out. So you've got two options. You can either put it back in the auction the following month or the month after that, or just bear the costs and then you just at a loss basically. Yeah. So remember, if you're buying at auction, it's not the gospel in terms of a Section 40 notice that's what you're going to be paying. Yeah. Like I said, this one would have been about 50K-ish, but the person that's it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm reasonably aware of that, and in fact, I'm aware of people putting in full Section 42s with very underinflated costs. But my point is, the whole basis of these calculations is changing, and when you look at the comparables, not only may you have refurb costs, but you actually have a block with certain ones with different lease lengths. So how on earth are you actually making those comparables?
Yeah.
It's there, like someone's cooked it up, Nick. Like it's
It's
someone.
not just
You
the
can
one. I have looked at many over a period, and I can't get them to work. So I'd just love to know exactly how you get this to work.
You got to buy the right price. You got to buy the right price.
Yeah.
Off market.
Yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but that does sound a bit glib. It's very easy to say buy at the right price, but unfortunately, if you don't have people willing to sell at the right price, I realize it could be a numbers game. What exactly are you supposed to do?
Yeah. There's not much you can do, not much you can do. But again, you got to try and negotiate hard on the price, give them the figures. Say, look, I've spoken to my lease extension surveyor. It's coming back at this price. The refurb cost is going to be this price. So based on these figures, this is why I'm offering you this amount. It's up to the vendor to say yes or no. If it doesn't, if they don't accept it, then just walk away, or you leave your offer on the table. And then if things don't sell, like I said, within about a month or two, then they might come back to you. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
not much you can do really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the numbers game and the follow-up, Nick. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So Shelley's asking,
Yes,
are
then.
they? Sorry, guys. Like, I want to go through the questions. To get we're over time already. I really want to go through the questions so we get the most out of our guests today. And so if you have some questions, please put them in the chat, and if we have time, we'll go through them. Yeah, okay. Because otherwise we diverge a bit too much. All right. So Shirley, are there any solicitor surveyors that you recommend for doing the lease extensions?
Yep, there are. Yep, I got them on my phone. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Okay.
Well, not quite a few, but I got people I've been
Do
using
get
for years.
Do get in touch with Jason, and he'll help you out with it. I believe you have your details on the slides, so people can
Yeah.
pick your brain on these specifics. She's
Mhm.
asking, do you use specialist brokers? And if so, could you introduce them? I guess it's the same one. Excellent presentation, says Brain. Yeah, thank you. I agree. I concur. Rita is asking, what happens if the freeholder can't be found and you want to extend the lease? You cover this with the idea of going to the tribunals, show that you've got all the due process, and then they'll help you. Brian's asking, why 50% to the owner below the marriage value? Is just the way these leases are structured historically. Below 80 years, you owe 50% of the uplift in value you create by increasing the lease to the freeholder. It's just how it is. RP is asking, would it be best to use an online calculator first, and then if the freeholder comes back with a much higher figure, to instruct the surveyor? If so, if you then had to go to tribunal, would your original online offer be used or overridden by the surveyor report?
The survey reports a
Yeah.
key one. Yeah. So what I normally do, I get a rough idea from a lease on the online calculators. If anything I'm buying, just type it in, rough idea from online calculators, and then I go and view it, and then after that I do my maths again. And if I'm gonna put in an offer, I say contact my surveyor, because he doesn't charge me anything, but just for the quotes. And obviously on your computer, it's got the formula anyway. So I send them an email and say, yeah, I'm thinking of buying this property. Can you give me a lease extension quote, please? Puts it in, quotes comes back, and then I match up with calculators, see if there's much discrepancy. And then after that, I just move forward. I mean, if I need him to do a lease extension survey for me, then yeah, I get him involved. His cost on average, depending on where you are in the country, is about 700 plus VAT to do a lease extension survey. And then, because obviously I use them all the time, he's willing to negotiate on my behalf with their surveyor if need be, or with the freeholder if need be. But they can charge up to £200 an hour for negotiations on your behalf if you don't know or use your legal team like regularly.
That's really cool, useful. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
John's asking, so guys, this is really valuable. So I know we overrun, but I think it's really valuable to have Jason. Jason, you happy to stay a few minutes to go through this? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, been off to Oxford.
Oh, thank you. Oh, indeed, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, progressive property.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
So yeah, John's asking, some of the flats with shortlists I see on the market, they've got asking price similar to the end value. How do you determine the actual price of the shortlist? So again, so it's what Jason talks about, where you determine the extension costs, and then it's your appetite of how much money you want to left in after you refinance, and this will drive your offer. So ignore the asking price, put the same way you would do a buy refurb refinance, and you determine what's going to be the cost of the refurb. You do the same with the lease extension, and you have more certainty because you actually get a quote from the freeholder as you start to engage the way Jason described, and then you can put an offer that works for you. Like Nick was alluded to before, it's likely they won't accept, but then you stick it in your follow-up box, in Property Filter, and then you follow up every couple of weeks, every couple of months, whatever you determine is the good rhythm, depending on how motivated they are. And the truth is they are sitting on the ticking bomb. So once you start follow up, and you're the only one following up after 2-3 months, like they'll see you as the only solution, to the problem they have, And so when you convey certainty, like they'll end, some will end up agreeing. So again, it's a numbers game. So that's the approach I would take. Melvin's asking me privately, do you ever get the vendor to put in the lease extension, the section 42, basically because of the 2-year rules?
Yeah. So if you want to get your money out within the first 6 months or so, after you've obviously purchased it, you ask the vendor to serve a Section 40 notice on your behalf. I mean, that'll be assigned over to yourself when you get the keys. Yeah. So the same way, like it is with auction, you're just asking them via the estate agent. Yeah, here. Yeah. Section 40 notice will be extended, testimonies will be served prior to completion. So if you're doing it on the open market, or if you're doing it via auction house, obviously, or an auction, make sure that's done by the vendor, and then that's assigned over to yourself when you get the keys. And then within 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully you can finish off the process to extend the lease and documents off the land registry to be registered.
Yeah, awesome. Carl is talking about his mother's flat, elderly mother's flat, where she's lived for 20 years and is now dropped at 73 years. You know, how big of an issue will be the marriage value, basically?
Yeah, that one, yep, you have to extend the lease on that one. And the longer you leave it, the more it's going to cost you to extend. Yeah. Unless Michael Gove comes in and then he actions the leasehold reform act before, well, in the next 6 months or so, or 3 months, who knows. And then you might pay half the cost what you'd normally pay. But as it stands, you've got to pay the marriage value and a premium if you extend the lease now, as in today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, not so awesome, but yeah, it's an interesting answer. Refilway is coming back on what we talked about repossessions, and say he couldn't get a hold of the freeholder because of their corporate, you know, sort of structure prior to the purchase. So I can't remember what were the question and answer at the time, but it was around the repossession properties.
Yeah,
but the freeholder won't answer.
And that'll be a risk then. So it's up to you. You could buy it, and then at some point they got to send you a government notice anyway. At some point, so worst case scenario, if you were to buy it and then you have to wait 2 years to extend the lease, then doing the voluntary method, doing the Section 42 method, when you can do that, or can buy it, and then if Michael Gove changes the law where he abolishes the 2-year rule, then he can apply to extend the lease before like 2 years is up, and then do it that way. And if they don't reply or don't engage within the first 2 months or so, then you can go to court, tribunal, and then the judge will decide how much it costs to extend the lease for you, and then you pay the judge, and then that's it.
Thank you. Shaheen is asking, what happens if the lease has completely expired?
Then the freeholder will contact you and say, give you one more chance to purchase a lease extension. If you refuse or do not have the money to do it, then the flat goes back to the freeholder.
Okay. In a similar way, what happens if you've got a lease on a property and the freehold building comes into disrepair, you know? So you still have your lease, but the freeholder doesn't, you know, basically maintain the property for the next 1,000 years, you know? So what happens then? Yeah,
again, you can go to court. Obviously you need proof, evidence, pictures, time lapses, so etc. Of you correspondence between, say, the roof's not work, the roof's got a leak on it, or the front wall outside's got a hole in it, or etc. Make sure you have all the evidence, and then again go to court, and then the court, in theory, should enforce the freeholder to make the changes, or somehow. But yeah, go to court basically once you have all the evidence in place. That's cool. That's part of the best in order.
Okay. A few people are mentioning about trying to engage with the freeholder before buying, but they refuse to engage.
Yeah, so there's a company that does it, and then, like I said, if the freeholder is absent, you need to place 2 adverts in the local paper, hire a search agent to find the freeholder, physically attend the last known address, check the probate records, yeah, and then do all of this. That takes, like I said, 6 to 9 months. And then after that, it's the best in order. You can go to court. So if the freehold is missing, you can pay for the lease extension or the freehold via the courts. Or if they're messing about with a Section 45 or Section 42, which is a reply to Section 42, then again, you can go to court, best in order. And if they're messing about with a Section 21 or Section 12, or not looking after the block of the building, again, you can go to court, right? And then if you win, obviously, the freeholder has to pay the court fees back to you. Yeah, but there's a company, I mean, you get insurance called absent landlord indemnity insurance as well, and that covers you just in case. But I've got the details of the company that does this if anyone wants it afterwards.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Farouk, so we're to your question. I'm really happy. So what to say to the owner with a short lease who is waiting for the leasehold reform to, to come together to avoid lease extension costs? I think quite a few people are sitting on this at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it might happen. Well, it depends on how it goes. You might do it next week. It might wait until after the election. Who knows?
Or
Who
you might
knows?
get, or you might not make it to after the election.
Exactly, exactly.
So,
Who knows?
but yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot. So lots of really good feedback as well. People, superb. It's been a great. Thanks. I've learned loads. Superb information. Thank you, Jason and Mr. G. Abby's asking, short lease of 57 years, is that worth buying as a first short lease deal? Is it more complex than doing a 70 to 80 years short lease?
No, exactly the same procedure. And again,
Yeah.
try and aim for, like I said, a minimum of 20 to 25% uplift if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you extend the lease, you might need a refurb, reconfiguration, don't know. But aim for a minimum of 20% upwards if you can.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's knowing the numbers in it. So great presentation. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of really good feedback. So yeah, thank you very much. Do you source short lease properties for clients?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'll have to tell you about a little marketplace portal we are putting together, Jason, if you want to put your deals in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent presentation. Sorry, every time there's a new question, it's dropping back the bottom. So excellent presentation, Jason and Guillaume. Thanks. What to say to the I would love the contact details. So guys, yeah, do get in touch with Jason. So you see Instagram handle below, and I think there were phone numbers and different things. Yeah, to get in touch with him. Is very generous with his time. Okay, so I think that's, unless I've skipped things, I think we are at the bottom of the question. So thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you everyone for joining, sticking with us. And yeah, I mean, Jason, that was awesome. I'm really grateful for you to have joined. Means a lot to us, because everybody here is actively looking for deals. We've got this thing in Property Filter about, finding all the short leases. So I think that gave people, I can see how this is going to unlock a lot of people career and
Exactly.
focusing on short leases is a really cool niche. Yeah, I really like it. So yeah, really happy and grateful for having you today. Do you have sort of a closing sentiment for today?
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It's been fun as usual.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Yeah, like shared knowledge. Just obviously make sure you do your maths, your sums. Yeah, don't just go in blind like what Nick said. You buy it, do the lease extension, do the refurb, and then all of a sudden, with no profit in it, it doesn't make sense. If you're going to be an owner occupier, then that's different, and living it for like 7 to 10 years, but then that's fine. But if you're going to make some profit out of it, yeah, double check your figures, the lease extension, the purchase price, and the end value. Get those things correct. I mean, obviously, try and aim for a minimum of like 20-25% profit.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much, and thank you all of us for joining us on today's Deal Final Corner. So yeah, do reach out to Jason. Is the details at the bottom of the slides, and yeah, pick his brain, and yeah, see what he's full of. I think we only scratched the surface of the expertise here, but you'll be very, very generous with your time and the depth you went with us. I'm really grateful for that. Do visit propertyfilter.co.uk in time. Log on to your Property Filter account. Check out the deal blueprint where you can define your gold mine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess deals in seconds, load your pipeline, and make deals. So have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1%, and become a high achiever deal finders. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Final Corner like I did, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jason, and thank you, everyone. Really enjoyed today.
Thanks for listening, everyone. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.